Now that you have a basic idea about how memory works, I'm going to show you what primitives in Java look like in actual code. So, let's start with the smallest of all the primitives, the byte. Bytes have a default value of 0, and they kind of look like this. Again, just 8 different switches all set to off. So this would be an 8-bit word size underneath the hood. The next one is short. Now, shorts are larger than bytes, but they're still a default 0 when they start. And they are 16 bits, which means they look kind of like this underneath the hood. The next is probably the most common one we use as Java programmers. It's an int. I'm using short for integer. It also starts at 0, only it uses up 32 bits. Well, maybe we want to have a number that's just not able to be expressed with 32 bits. And for that, we have a long. Its default value is also 0, only it uses a whole 64 bits in order to describe the number it's going to describe. So, this is fine for integer values, but what if we want to express something like 3.14, or we want to express something like 0.00001? Well, that's where floating point and double come in. Floats, as they're called, are denotated by having this little f right there, so that Java understands that we're talking about a floating point number. Now, I'm not going to keep typing all these zeros out, but I will tell you that this one is 32 bits. You can use a double if you need a little bit more precision. Its default value is also 0, but it uses a whopping 64 bits, which is great if you really need some precision. Okay, so those are kind of all the number primitives, but there's still the char primitive. Sometimes it's called char. I don't particularly know what the actual pronunciation is, but I like to call them char. So its default value is basically like 0. Oops, there we go. My char equals that. Again, it's basically like a mapping of numbers to letters, with A starting around 65, a capital A. So I don't actually know what this symbol is in Unicode, but I do know that chars take up 16 bits. Finally, my favorite, the Boolean. They start with a value of false. They can only be true or false, and they take up 1 bit. So that's basically all of your primitives.